Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to the fall campaign for Arkham Horror, the card game. After we managed to escape return to At Death's Doorstep with 3 experience, we upgraded the decks with that experience, so now we're ready to continue the fall campaign. This week we're taking a small break from the main campaign to insert the first side story that we've done on the channel. This week we're going to send Jacqueline and Mandy to the Carnevale of Horrors. As I've alluded to, this scenario is still going to have a Circle Undone theme to it. You're probably thinking, Phoenix Knight, how do you plan to do that? Simple. As part of setup, I shoveled a couple of encounter sets from the main Circle Undone campaign into the encounter deck for this scenario, and I'm going to add another one when the agenda advances. But I'll talk more about that when we get to that point. Due to print issues with this scenario, I will be able to tell the difference between cards that are coming out of the main campaign versus this scenario, but I'll try not to use that to my advantage. Anyway, enough rambling, let's go ahead and set the scene.
Carnival of Horrors. The carnival is coming. Look, Sheriff Engel insists. I know it sounds crazy, but that's really all there is to it. He sighs and sits back down, pouring a cup of joe for you and one for himself. A dame in Uptown spotted a cracked egg wearing this mask and holding a bloody butcher's cleaver, he says, motioning to the black leather mask sitting on his desk. It has a comically long nose and a strange symbol scrawled in yellow on its forehead. So, she calls it in. My boys and I picked him up on the corner of Saltonstall and Garrison. The sheriff's jaw clenches and his brows furrow as he recounts the story. Fella did nothing but laugh as they slapped the bracelets on him. Called himself Zani. Said nothing except, the carnival is coming, whatever the hell that meant. Wasn't until the next day we found the victim's body. Defense wanted him in a straitjacket. We were happy to oblige. There isn't much time to spare. If your research is right, there is more to this case than meets the eye. This Zani wasn't talking about Dark's carnival, but rather the Carnival of Venice, which begins just before the next full moon.
Right, so we've got another psycho murderer on the loose, aka just another Sunday in Arkham. But anyway, next up, let's remind ourselves of the tarot reading. On the good side this week, we left Strength 8. So when the game begins, each investigator may play an asset from her hand at -2 cost. And I'll do that once we go through each investigator's opening hand. On the bad side, however, we left the World 21. Each investigator defeated during this game suffers 1 trauma of their choice during its resolution. Both of them will be mental, most likely, because they can't take too much physical trauma. But anyway. So next up, we'll take a look at our starting act and agenda decks. First, for Agenda 1A. The festivities begin. Let me see if I can zoom in so I can read this a little bit better. Here we go. Last-minute ocean liner tickets from Boston to Italy set you back a fair bit of dough, but after a tense journey, you arrive in Venice. The carnival has already begun, and the city is in celebration. Colorful confetti rains from above, covering the streets. Many revelers throng in the Piazza San Marco, the square outside the Basilica. The parade is to begin shortly. You find the nearest uninformed carabinieri, God, say that 5 times fast, and show him a copy of the symbol you'd transcribed from Zani's mask. He pauses to decide your trustworthiness, nods, and escorts you into the Basilica to see Abbess Allegria di Biase. And we need 8 doom to advance that. Then our first act we find the Carnevale conspiracy. The abbess addresses you privately. So, you know what is coming? You nod. Then you know what must be done. They are using the celebration as a sacrifice for their wretched master. Bring as many innocents as you can here, where I can protect them. But beware. The creature's servants will try to blend into the crowd with their false masks. As an action, the investigators spend 1 per investigator clues as a group to look at the other side of a masked carnival goer at any location. Objective: if there are a total of 3 innocent revelers under the act and/or agenda decks, advance. Okay, so with that, next we'll go ahead and take a look at our opening hands, and also including playing the assets at -2 cost. So Jacqueline, once again, will be our lead investigator, And we're going to have a tough decision to make. I've been thinking about this decision all morning. So we're going to start off with her copy of Twilla Catherine Price, Lost in a Dream. 3 cost to play, lore and agility on commit. Ally Artist Dreamer. After you spend 1 or more charges from a spell asset, exhaust Twilla Catherine Price, place 1 charge on that asset, 1 health, 2 sanity on soak, and it takes up the ally slot. Then we have a copy of Shriveling, level 5. 3 cost to play, will and 2 combat on commit. Uses 4 charges. As an action, spend 1 charge, fight. This attack uses will instead of combat. You get +3 will and deal +2 damage for this attack. If a bad symbol is revealed, take 2 horror. Next up we have Emergency Cash to gain 3 resources. Then we have Clairvoyance level 3. 4 cost to play, will and lore on commit. 3 charges. Spend a charge to investigate as an action. Investigate using will instead of lore. You get +2 will for this investigation. Discover 1 additional clue at this location if you succeed. And if you reveal a good symbol, take 1 horror. Yes, that's 1 horror. And then we have our Arcane Studies level 4. 2 cost to play, 2 will, 2 lore on commit. Uses 2 resources. Replenish at the start of each round. As an action, spend 1 resource from your resource pool or from Arcane Studies to get 1 of either will or lore for this skill test. So I could make a good case to play any of those assets out. I think what I'm going to start with is I'm actually going to go ahead and play Arcane Studies first. So it'll give me 2 free resources at the start of the round, which we're not doing right now. This is all... Basically, we're doing all of this instead of the Mythos phase, so this actually does not count as the start of the round. Mandy's starting hand, her decision is actually going to be a very easy one on what we're playing. So, it won't be this card because it's starting in play. This is the first card in her hand. Death 13, Free from the Past. It would be a 3 cost to play normally, give you +1 lore, but on a reaction, when the game begins, if Death 13 is in your opening hand, put it into play. Let go, and embrace a new truth. And it takes up the tarot slot, so we will get to play that out. Then for the rest of her hand, one of these we're going to play, but I think I know which one it's going to be. It's going to be this card. Pathfinder, it's a 3 cost to play, but it's only going to cost her 1 resource to put it into play, and I'm already out of slots on these mats. I'm hoping Board Game Solutions has something new ready, but anyway. It would be an agility on commit except we're playing it. During your turn, if you're not engaged with any enemies, exhaust Pathfinder to move to a connecting location. Searchers after horror haunt strange far places. H.P. Lovecraft, The Picture in the House. Then for the rest of her hand, we have a copy of Occult Lexicon level 3. 2 cost to play, 2 lore on commit. Limit 1 per deck. Reaction, when you play a copy of Bloodrate, either change each 2 on it to a 3, or shuffle it into your deck instead of discarding it. That might be... I'm going to metagame a little bit more here, but that's something I might want to see more later. Then we have a copy of Hawkeye Folding Camera, which there would be an argument to play this as well using my Strength 8, but I think the mobility from Pathfinder is more important. 2 cost to play, will on commit. Reaction, after the last clue is discovered from your location, place 1 resource from the token pool on this card as evidence. Limit once per game at each location. While Hawkeye Folding Camera has 1 or more evidence, you get +1 will, 2 or more evidence +1 lore, 3 or more evidence +1 sanity, and those do stack. And a copy of Deduction, which I'm very happy to not see underneath Ancestral Knowledge. 2 lore on commit. If you succeed while investigating a location with this committed, discover 1 additional clue there, 2 instead if you succeed by 2 or more. So, that is the opening hands. Last up, let's go meet Jacqueline and Mandy over at the map. Here's our map. You can see by the connecting arrows, everything connects in a clockwise manner. Although some of those might change depending on location setup, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Anyway, Jacqueline and Mandy start off at San Marco Basilica. As we mentioned, connected to the location in the clockwise manner. And in the clockwise direction, I'll talk about each location when I get to it. You cannot help but marvel at the basilica's opulence and towering presence. In the piazza outside, revelers dance and celebrate, oblivious to their peril. And we have Shroud of 3, no clues, connected in the clockwise. As an action that place an innocent reveler you control outside the act deck out of play. Blessed and warded by the abbess, the basilica is about as safe a place as you can find in Venice, but it is not safe enough. And then we won't worry about the abbess until she's getting ready to join the game, until she possibly might join the investigators. Anyway, you're also seeing these masked carnival goers around each location except at the San Marco Basilica. We'll go ahead and take a look at one of these so we don't have to look at the rest of them, so we don't have to look at them each time. So as an action, we can spend 1 clue to flip masked carnival goer. If its other side is an enemy, it attacks each investigator at its location. And then I don't know how it handles flipping back and forth, but I think the way we're going to handle this, look and flip are different. So I'm going to have to make a marking system, and I'm going to have to mark these in some way so I know which is which and which ones I don't want to flip over. But anyway, so that's everything set up for the scenario. So let's jump in, and I think we will start with Mandy, and we'll stay right here at the map. Now that the investigation phase has officially begun, we do have an open player window coming into it, which I'll use first for ancestral knowledge. So I'll draw a skill from under this. Mandy will draw a copy of Eureka, Will, Lore, Agility on Commit. If successful, the investigator performing this test searches the top 3 cards of their deck for a card, draws it, and shuffles their deck. And then Mandy will also Pathfinder, will move down to the Bridge of Sighs. With a pang of discomfort, you imagine how disheartening the view would be from inside the enclosed bridge, looking out of its cramped windows. This will flip into Shroud of 1, 2 clues. Forced. After you leave Bridge of Sighs, take 1 horror. Okay, so we'll get the 2 clues out for that, and I figured out how I'm going to mark the carnival goers so I can keep them straight. I'm going to use the official clue and doom tokens because normally I use Team Covenant clues and doom for stuff in play. So I have to remember that this is not going to count as clues or doom in play. So if I have the mark like this on a masked carnival goer, it means it'll be safe to flip later. This doom is going to mean that it's not safe to flip, and these will not count toward agenda advancement, so that's how I'm going to mark that. But anyway, action 1 will be to investigate. Mandy is up 5. +1 gets her a clue. Action 2 will be to investigate again, still up 5. Zero gets her the other clue. And then action 3... I think we'll go ahead and spend the clues to peek at the masked carnival goer at her location. So the location here, and remember, this is a look. Salvatore Neri, $3, retaliate, fight value is equal to the attacking investigator's base combat, evade value is equal to base agility. Okay, so we know that's a That's not going to be a safe one to flip. So we do know that, so at least we know that. Anyway, that will do it for Mandy. Jacqueline's turn will keep us right here because we're going to get her, and we're going to try to keep things moving here. So action 1, she's going to move into the Bridge of Sighs. Action 2, she'll leave the Bridge of Sighs, which will deal her a horror. We'll take a look at the Flooded Square. As the rising tide of the Aqua Alta floods the square, you trudge through numbingly cold water. The parade continues across a makeshift wooden bridge that spans the square, too narrow for your comfort. Then this will flip into Shroud of 4 2 clues. As an action, automatically evade a non-elite enemy at a location in the counterclockwise direction. Group limit once per turn. So we'd evade an enemy here. I'll get the 2 clues for that. And then action 3, I think we're going to start needing clues. So I'm going to pay 4 resources to play out her Clairvoyance level 3. So we saw this earlier in the starting hand. I'll get the 3 charges for that. There we are. Okay. Then that will do it for Jacqueline. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the only enemy we know about right now is the masked carnival goer on top of Mandy, but it doesn't do anything because it's still masked. So basically there are no enemies in play. It's kind of complicated, but there are no active enemies in play, if that makes sense. So anyway, we'll go ahead and reset everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline will gain a resource and go to 2. Mandy will gain a resource and go to 5. Jacqueline will draw Emergency Cash. This will give her 3 resources and a card, so that's the leveled up version. And then Mandy draws Shocking Discovery, which on Revelation, it goes back into her deck. If you can't, discard and draw the top card of the encounter deck instead. Forced, when you search your deck and this card is among the searched cards, discard it, cancel the search, shuffle the searched deck, and draw the top card of the encounter deck. So this just gets shuffled back in. It's not that harmful when it comes out of the deck. It just denies her a card on a draw action. It's more devastating when it comes out during a search, but no help for that here. Give it one more shuffle. Hopefully we can shuffle it along with the rest of her weaknesses nice and deep. We'll give that a cut. And then Mythos. Actually, before the round starts, I've got to make sure I keep this straight. Arcane Studies gets its 2 resources on it. Now we go into the Mythos phase. We had our first Doom on the agenda. Jacqueline draws Abduction. Revelation test Will 3. If you fail, you must either lose all of your resources or choose and discard an ally you control. When the revelers come out to celebrate, they come out to feed. So we're up 2, and I'm not too bothered with discarding her resources because I'll probably be getting more during her action, during her investigation phase. So we're up 2. A 0 means we pass a largely inconsequential test for Jacqueline. Mandy's card. She either takes 2 horror or moves to the location across from her. I was going to get her moving anyway, so let's actually move over to the map so we can resolve where Mandy's landing. I did have movement in mind with Mandy, but I didn't quite have this much movement in mind. So anyway, she moves over to the streets of Venice, which is the location across from her. The Parade of Masks follows a circuitous route through the city, through canal-side walkways, and over more bridges than you can count. Streamers and confetti litter the streets where the parade has already passed by. Flips into... As a Strata 2 clues. As a fast action, move to the location in the clockwise direction. So we'll get the 2 clues out for that. And I have a feeling Mandy's turn is going to look very similar, but before we get into that, we'll ancestral knowledge once again. So we'll find a surprising find. I do not like seeing this under ancestral knowledge. Say that 5 times fast. When you search your deck and surprising find is among the searched cards, put it into play in your play area. You must commit it to the next eligible skill test you perform. If that test is successful, draw 1 card. Maximum 1 research ability per search. So we do get another skill out of that, and then we're back into the investigation phase. And I think we will start off once again with Mandy, and we'll stay right here at the map. Action 1 from Mandy. I don't want to waste a Eureka on a Shroud, or I don't want to waste a lot of these on a Shroud 2, because she's already up 4. And the only thing in the bag that scares me is the tentacle, so we'll just investigate. We'll just investigate up 4. -1 gets her a clue. Action 2 will run that back. Zero gets her the other clue. And is that an action to flip? That's an action to flip. The only thing I don't like about doing that is it leaves Mandy vulnerable to an attack because Jacqueline can't get over there this turn. So I think for action 3... I'll just go ahead and peek again. And if this is an enemy, we can always get out of the location. So for flipping we find, or for peeking, Savio Corvi, Dark Lurker, Hunter. When resolving the Hunter keyword on Savio Corvi, his location is connected to the location across from him, as well as in the clockwise direction. 1-1, victory 1. So I think we're probably... So once we start getting more active enemies in play, I think we're probably going to end up doing enemy phase over at the map, most likely, because this is a very complicated map with some difficult connections. But anyway... I'll use the fast action on Streets of Venice to move up to the Guardian. Once again, the Guardian is connected in the clockwise yada 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 yada. The statue's eyes seem to glow with the light of the moon. And then we flip this over to find. Shroud of 4 clues. And after you enter the Guardian, draw 1 card. Nice. You're sure it's made of stone? Why does it seem so alive? So we'll draw the card from Mandy, and I think we're probably going to end up Pathfindering away as well. Just because I don't want... Well, actually, it's fine, because Mandy isn't going to be getting hit anyway. So Mandy does draw a card. She finds... Occult Evidence. 0 cost to play, wild card on commit. Shuffle it into your deck. When you search your deck and Occult Evidence is among the searched cards, reveal it to draw it and discover 1 clue at your location. Max 1 research ability per search. Right, that will do it for Mandy. Jacqueline, for action 1, she's going to use a Charge of Clairvoyance. And I'll use her special ability so I can try to get these clues off this location. So that brings her 7 to, what was that? 4, she's up 3, and I've got the clues. Actually, we'll use a resource from Arcane Studies to go up 4. But once again, I am pulling 3 tokens. One, two, three. Okay. First token we reveal is a +1, so we want to cancel that if we can. Card, because remember, on Clairvoyance, if we reveal a good symbol, which is an Elder Sign +1 or 0, we take 1 horror. So that's actually not that bad. The Elder Sign, which we'll probably be trying to cancel as well, and a 0. So we are taking... Let's take a quick look at Jacqueline's Elder Sign, but we are taking 1 horror regardless because we pulled all 3 of them. So Jacqueline's Elder Sign is +1. If this effect is cancelled or ignored, draw 1 card. So we are going to cancel the Elder Sign and the 0, which will deal her a horror, which I already took that. It gets her both clues, though, and it draws her a card. So Jacqueline draws Storm of Spirits. At 3 cost to play, will and 2 combat on commit. Fight using will instead of lore. You get +2 will for this attack, and instead of dealing standard damage, deal 3 damage to each enemy at your location. But if you pull a bad symbol, deal 2 damage to each investigator. So that's going to be one where we want Jacqueline's special ability, if at all possible. Then action 2, we'll go ahead and play Emergency Cash level 2 to get 3 resources and draw a card. So we'll bring her back up to 5, and then Jacqueline will draw another Clairvoyance level 3, so we've got a replacement all ready to go. And then for action 3, I think we'll just go ahead and play out... We'll just spend those 3 resources we got to play out Twilla. So we took a look at her in the opening hand. Sometimes this world, I wish I never came back. So basically that'll be... Twilla will be where we shortcut and say, okay, I'm using Twilla to keep the charge on the asset I'm using. But anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, we still have no active enemies in play. So we'll go ahead and ready everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline will gain 1 resource and go to 3. Mandy will gain 1 resource and go to 6. Jacqueline will draw Occult Theory. Oh my. When this card is in your hand or committed, it gains will equal to your lore, will icons equal to your lore, and lore equal to your will. So it's gaining 3 will icons or 5 lore. Mandy draws Quick Thinking. If this skill test is successful by 2 or more after it resolves, you may immediately take an action as if it were your turn. This action does not count toward the number of actions you can take each turn. So we get another skill commit there to potentially get a tempo jump. But anyway, Mythos phase, Doom goes up to 2 on the agenda. Jacqueline draws Mesmerize. If there are no masked carnival goers at your location, Mesmerize gains Surge. But if there is a masked carnival goer at your location, which there is, flip it. If it's an innocent reveler, move it to the location, furthest location clockwise from you with no investigators, then deal it 1 damage and 1 horror. So we do have a masked carnival goer at her location. So this will flip into Don Lagorio, 443 Hunter. When resolving the Hunter keyword on Don Lagorio, his location is connected to the location in the counterclockwise direction, as well as the clockwise direction. Victory 1, 2 damage. That's going to be a problem for Jacqueline, especially since I played Clairvoyance out in her first turn. I almost forgot start of round. Arcane Studies should have had its second resource on it. Mandy draws. Watcher's Gaze. Revelation test Will 4. Each investigator who controls an innocent reveler must also perform this skill test. Each investigator who fails takes 1 horror, which must be assigned to an innocent reveler first if able. Mandy is down 1. Let's go Eureka to get her to even. Surprising Find up 1. Quick Thinking up 2. And Hawkeye Folding Camera up 3. Mostly so I can try to get a tempo jump here. A 0. Okay. So first of all, Mandy will search. So first we'll resolve Eureka. So I will have Mandy... What am I even looking for right now? I think I will go 3 deep and take... Actually, we kind of need cards because this took some out of my hand. We'll take 2 targets. So card 3. So first card up we find... You handle this one. Fast play after you draw a non-peril encounter card but before resolving that card's effect. Choose another investigator. That investigator is considered to have drawn the card. Gain 1 resource. Card 2. Research Librarian, which after it enters play, search your deck for a tome asset and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck, which could bring Shocking Discovery out. And... Magnifying Glass to get +1 lore while investigating. So we get 2 of these cards, and the question is, which one don't I want? Honestly, I don't think I want You Handle this one right now, so I'm going to take the other 2. We'll shuffle those back in. Give this a shuffle. And a cut. So that goes away, and then before we we'll use a fast action to exhaust ancestral knowledge to draw another skill. So Mandy will draw. An opportunist. Commit only to a skill test you're performing. If you succeed by 3 or more, return Opportunist to your hand after this test instead of discarding it. But let's quick thinking our way over to the map with Mandy. Also in a fast window, since it is labeled as fast, we'll go ahead and play out the Magnifying Glass to give her +1 lore while investigating. A lens into a world unseen can reveal things you wish it hadn't. Very true. And now, finally, for the action, Mandy will investigate. So we're going to commit... So right now, we're base up 5, 6, 7. We're base up 4. I'll use a deduction to go up 6 to try to get 3 clues, and an opportunist to go up 7 for basically a free skill commit. A +1 gives her 3 clues, so that's actually a major league tempo jump for us. Which means deduction goes away. And opportunist comes back to Mandy's hand. Anyway, right, that will do it for the Mythos phase. The investigation phase, I think we'll stay with Mandy and we'll start right here at the map. Action 1, since it worked so well for Mandy the first time, we're going to investigate committing opportunist. So we're up, 5, 6, 7, 8, we're up 5 trying to get that last clue. So remember, we're up 5. Skull is -2, and the token has an additional -1 for each innocent reveler under the agenda deck. So we still succeed by 3, which gives me opportunist back, gives me the last clue. And then action 2, I'll peek at that masked carnival goer. We should be running out of enemies at this point. We find we are not running out of enemies. Oh joy. So Elisabetta Magro, High Servant of the Order, 3/4/4, aloof. Forced, when you look at Elisabetta Magro using the ability on Act 1A, flip her to this side so she stays. And when the Mythos phase ends, place 1 doom on Elisabetta. Victory 1, 1, and 1. So she gets oh no, she doesn't get the doom until the end of the Mythos phase. Anyway, she's still... Okay, so that was action 2. We'll Pathfinder over to the Venetian Gardens. The parade's path meanders away from the canals and winds through a beautiful garden. The moonlight streams through the leaves, dappling the ancient marble statues. This flips into... Okay, it's Shroud of 3, 2 clues. As 2 actions to spend 2 actions and spend 2 resources to heal 2 horror, limit once per game. The garden's quiet elegance stands in stark contrast to the raucous celebrations throughout the city. Alright, so we'll get the 2 clues for that. And then action 3, we'll go ahead and spend the 2 clues to peek at the masked carnival goer there. So I think by process of elimination, these are probably... Actually, wait a second. Let me think about this for a minute. So I'm going to metagame a little bit. But because I know all of the other... Actually, because I know... Yeah, I know we have enemies. The other ones are enemies. So I think all of the masked carnival goers now should be... All the masked carnival goers now should be innocent revelers. So I'm actually going to spend 1 clue to flip this masked carnival goer. And we find... Sure enough, it's an innocent reveler. So we'll take our first look at an innocent reveler. As an action parlay, test Lore 2 to convince the reveler to follow you to safety. If you succeed, take control of innocent reveler. Forced, when innocent reveler would be discarded, place it underneath the agenda deck out of play. Each investigator takes 1 horror, 2 and 2 on soak. Okay, so that will do it for Mandy. Jacqueline, we need to venture back to her play area because we need to get away from Don Ligorio. We're down 1 trying to evade Don Ligorio. So I think you try to evade and use Jacqueline's ability and hope to God for a pull. If we had the pull like we did on Clairvoyance, I would be very happy with that. Bring it back into shot. 1, 2, 3. Alright, first token up is a skull, which we know is -2 plus -1 for each innocent reveler under the agenda deck. A +1 would get us away if we can keep it. And a 0, so we cancel the skull and the 0, and Jacqueline will get away from Don Ligorio, which means we have a turn basically to set up shop. Actions 2 and 3 will take us over to the map. Action 2, Jacqueline will move down to Canal Side. Canals course through the city's many islands, lined with gondolae, traghetti, and other boats. The redolence of the festival clashes with the pungent odor of the water. Here, the music of the carnival is faded, replaced by the sound of gentle sloshing across the docks and canal walls. This flips into Shroud of... Okay, canal side is connected in clockwise, yada yada yada. After you enter canal side, place one clue from canal side from the token bank. Shroud of 2 starts off with 1, it'll start off with 2 clues. The water ripples and swells, causing some boats to sway and even capsize. You make a mental note to stay away from the docks. So that gets 2 clues. And then because of process of elimination, I know that this is a carnival goer, or not a carnival goer, it's an innocent reveler. I'm actually going to take a small window of opportunity here to play out a way for Jacqueline to defend herself. So 3 resources to play Shriveling level 5. So should be able to tell most anything to get bent in a couple of shots. But anyway, we'll get the 4 charges out for that. And that will do it for Jacqueline. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase are only... We now have 2 active enemies. Elizabeth is aloof, which is how Mandy was able to leave. And Don Ligorio is evaded. So we'll go ahead and wake him up. Start re-readying everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline will gain a resource and go to 1. Mandy will gain 1 resource and go to 6. Jacqueline will draw Rite of Seeking, which is another clue gathering card. The only difference is here we don't get any bonus will, and if we reveal a bad symbol, we end her turn. Mandy draws Your Worst Nightmare. Oh, fantastic. Just what I wanted to see. 2/3/2, Hunter, Prey Bearer only. The bearer of your worst nightmare can't attack, damage, or defeat it, does 2 horror. So it makes friends with Mandy. That's a problem. Anyway, Mythos phase, Doom on the agenda goes up to 3. Jacqueline draws Keeper of Secrets. This one's actually from the main campaign. So the Silver Twilight Lodge is one of the sets that I shuffled into the encounter deck just to keep the main Circle Undone feel to it. So we're still going to spawn them at any empty location. The Twilight Lodge, however, if you remember the Silver Twilight Lodge from the last scenario, we're enemies of the Lodge. So the ways we're going to capture that are none of the enemies in this set has Aloof or Parlay, but everything else is still the same. Spawn at any empty location, which actually right now, all these locations are empty, so he actually gets discarded because we can't meet the spawn instructions. So that actually worked out very well for us. Mandy draws Mass Hysteria. You must either take 2 damage or take each masked carnival goer, shuffle them so the investigators don't know which is which, and place 1 in each location, starting with the location clockwise from you. I think... masked carnival goer side face up. The question here is, do we need to protect Mandy's health, or do we need to protect information more? Right now she's taking horror from your worst nightmare, not damage. So I think right now, in all honesty, I'd rather protect information. So Mandy is going to take 2 damage. It's a risky play, but given that I've got some things set up here that I can probably get Jacqueline moving on, like I said, I'd rather protect information if I can. So that will do it for the Mythos phase. Investigation phase, let's get Jacqueline working on using that aforementioned information. So we'll start at the map. Action 1, Jacqueline's going to spend 1 clue to flip that masked carnival goer, and by process of elimination, remembering that the act wants to have 3 innocent revelers, and we've already marked the rest of our enemies, I'm I'm like 99% certain this is an innocent reveler. And it is. Okay. That's a parlay on a will 2. So action 2, I'm going to go ahead and take that parlay. I'm going to spend my 2 resources from Arcane Studies to go up 2. And we will dump... We'll dump Rite of Seeking to go up 3. How critical is it that this test hits? I think it's probably critical because I need to be able to move as well to get away from Don Ligorio because he's going to be hunting after Jacqueline. So I'm going to use her ability as well. So I'm up 3 and I'm pulling 3 tokens. Okay. Trying to do this without looking at the token. So token 1 is a -1, which I can afford to keep that because I'm up. Like I said, I was up 3, so a -1 won't hurt me. Elder Sign is probably getting canceled if I can spare it, and a +1. So I will cancel the -1 and the Elder Sign. That way I can draw another card, but more importantly, Jacqueline gets the Innocent Reveler. Fortunately, it doesn't take up an ally slot, so Jacqueline will draw. Another copy of Shriveling. This is going to be very welcome, most likely. And then action 3, Jacqueline move over to the Academia Bridge. The long and narrow Ponte dell'Accademia is one of only 4 bridges that span the Grand Canal. Many pairs of yellow eyes gaze at the bridge from the Academy's high windows, seemingly waiting for you to cross. This flips into... After you leave Academia Bridge, lose 2 resources. Shroud of 2, 2 clues. Okay. That will do it for Jacqueline. Mandy, I think I'm okay staying right here at the map because ideally I want to get her moving as well. So action 1, she's going to have to evade. She's base up 1. I'll commit Occult Evidence to go up 2. Research Librarian, she's base up 1. Occult Evidence puts her up 2. Research Librarian puts her up 3. And then Opportunist will put her up 4, hopefully for a free skill commit. Skull is -2 plus -1 for each Innocent Reveler underneath the agenda deck, so Mandy's given Your Worst Nightmare the slip. Before we do the second action, I'll exhaust Ancestral Knowledge to draw a skill from under it. Mandy draws. Another surprising find, which I didn't want to see coming out of the deck, but Opportunist is back. The other 2 are discarded as commits. Action 2, 5, 6... We're up 4 on that. Yeah, we'll take the parlay on the Innocent Reveler to go up. We're up 4. A 0 gives her the Innocent Reveler. Then Mandy will Pathfinder over to San Marco Basilica. And action 3, she'll use the action on San Marco Basilica to place the Innocent Reveler underneath the Act deck. So we have 1 Innocent Reveler under the Act. Anyway, that will do it for the action for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Don Ligorio moves over to Canal Side. I need to get Jacqueline... My plan is going to be to get Jacqueline moving next turn, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself there. So anyway, Elisabetta is still aloof, which means everything starts to wake up. I forgot to flip over Mandy's last action. That's fine, though. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes up to 2. Mandy will gain 1 and go up to 7. Jacqueline will draw another Storm of Spirits. This is very welcome. Mandy will draw another Magnifying Glass, which we have earlier and we've been using to great effect. Mythos phase, Doom on the agenda goes up to 4. Jacqueline draws Vice and Villainy. Revelation, attach Vice and Villainy to a non-permanent asset you control. Limit 1 per asset. When the encounter deck runs out of cards, discard attached asset. Forced, when attached asset leaves play, test Will 3. If you fail, attach Vice and Villainy to a different non-permanent asset you control. I will attach that to Clairvoyance, because I am planning on that leaving at some point. Also, start of round, Jacqueline's Arcane Studies should replenish. And then Mandy draws 1 card. Writhing Appendage. Retaliate. Forced. After it attacks you, discard a random card from your hand. Forced. When Writhing Appendage is defeated, if Nadathqua is in play, deal 1 damage to Nadathqua. So unfortunately that is engaged with Mandy. Then we'll exhaust Ancestral Knowledge to get Mandy's last skill. She will find another Opportunist. This could be potentially good, but we'll find out more about that later. Anyway, that will do it for the Mythos phase. Investigation phase, we need to get... Okay, actually at the end of the Mythos phase, Elizabetta should get a Doom on her, so we're up to 5 Doom in play right now. Anyway, that will do it for the Mythos phase. Investigation phase, let's join Jacqueline over at the map. Okay, action 1 for Jacqueline. She's going to spend the last clue to flip this masked carnival goer to an innocent reveler. Knew that was coming. Action 2, she'll spend her 2 resources into her parlay to go up 3. And since I need this to hit again, I'm going to use her ability. First token up, +1. Second token up, a 0. And third, the Elder Sign. Wow, we are seeing a lot of Elder Signs. Except Jacqueline isn't revealing any of them because she's canceling the 0 and the Elder Sign to take control of the Innocent Reveler and draw a card. So Jacqueline draws 4 of Cups. Where was this at the start of the game? Anyway, it gives her +1 will, and it's got the same clause that Death 13 has. But anyway, action 3, Jacqueline is going to leave the streets of Venice. It would cost her 2 resources, but she is going to use the fast action on the streets of Venice to move up to Elizabetta. Up at, where is that? The Guardian. She will draw a card as well. So Jacqueline draws Enchanted Bow. Ooh, this could be handy. Uses 3 charges. As an action, she can exhaust Enchanted Bow to fight using either Will or Lore or Agility, translation Will, instead of combat, and get +1 skill value for the attack, dealing +1 damage. And as an additional cost to initiate this ability, you may spend 1 charge to have this attack target a non-elite enemy at a connecting location, ignoring Aloof and Retaliate. That's going to be something I'm going to have my eye on very much, but Jacqueline's got more pressing problems first, where she's going to need to deal with Elizabetta next turn. But anyway, I'm getting way ahead of myself there. Mandy, however, is going to have to move down to her play area so she can try to give this Writhing Appendage the slip. Mandy is going to get rocked if I can't get free of this Writhing Appendage. So, for action 1, I'll throw all my icons into this to get her up 2. I only get the Opportunists back if I succeed by 3 or more, so this is probably the end of the road for Opportunists. You have served me well, Opportunist, but alas, your time with me has come to an end this scenario. But, more importantly, we do give the writhing appendage the slip. And then actions 2 and 3 will take us over to the map. Actually, we'll Pathfinder over to the map first. Mandy will Pathfinder over to the Bridge of Sighs. Then action 2, she'll spend 2 resources to play out her Occult Lexicon. So we saw this earlier in her opening hand. After it enters play, we'll search your bonded cards for 3 copies of Bloodright, adding 1 to her hand and the other 2 into her deck. When I play a copy of Bloodright, I can change each 2 to a 3, or shuffle it into my deck instead of discarding it. So, I'll go through my bonded cards. Okay, looks like they just stuck together. So I don't need that yet. There's the 1 copy of Bloodright to my hand. And we'll shuffle the other 2 into the deck. To cut. Okay. Alright, so that was action 2. I think action 3 will be to draw a card. So Mandy will draw another copy of Bloodright. That could be very helpful. That will do it for Mandy. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Don Ligorio actually moves toward Mandy because the counterclockwise location is connected and Mandy's closer. So we'll move that. And then Your Worst Nightmare moves toward Mandy. So now we can go ahead and ready everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline will gain 1 resource and go to 1. Mandy will gain 1 resource and go back to 6. Jacqueline will draw. Drawn to the Flame, so she can draw the top card of the encounter deck, then discover 2 clues at her location. What's her hand size at right now? I don't think she's in danger of having to discard 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. I lied. I will discard... Do I discard Drawn to the Flame? Shrouds aren't particularly high, but Mandy's trapped. We need to get her out of that situation very quickly, but there's nothing I can really do there because she's got both Don Ligorio and Your Worst Nightmare converging on her. But anyway, we'll discard Drawn to the Flame, and then Mandy will draw. Through the Gates, draw the top card of your deck. If it's not a weakness, remove that card from the game. Then search your deck, discard pile, and hand in all play areas for each other copy of that card you own, and remove them from the game as well. That's rude. So Mandy draws Deduction, which was in her... which I used 1 earlier. There it is. Okay. So those just get removed from the game, and the only other one was in her discard pile. So I'll put... let's put that out of play over here. Right. Anyway, Mythos phase. Doom on the agenda goes up to 5. We have 6 in play. Jacqueline draws. Writhing Appendage, which I don't think I mind this too much. No, I think this is fine. And then Mandy draws. Acrid Miasma. Attached to the nearest location in the clockwise direction with no acrid miasma. Forced. After an investigator enters attached location, test Will 2. If you fail, it must take either 1 or 1 and resolve the Hunter keyword on each enemy in play. Nearest clockwise would be the flooded square. Anyway, that will do it for the Mythos phase. The investigation phase, we have got a sudden mess on our hands, but Jacqueline is going to try to clean up her part of it first. So we'll move down to her play area. I'm going to take a risk here because I'm going to initiate a play action, but I'm going to take an attack of opportunity first. So Jacqueline takes 1 damage and discards a card at random. There's 1 card here I absolutely do not want to lose. There's 1 card I don't want to lose, 1 card I don't mind losing because I've got 2 copies of it, and the rest I'm kind of meh about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll get my phone out of the way. So how I'm going to do this is, here's my laser pointer. I've got a D8 here that I'm going to roll for it. 1 through 8, just left to right. Card 4, and I'm losing. The card I did not want to lose at all. My plan was to play Emergency Cash and then Storm of Spirits to clear the board out, but I can't do that now because I just lost my Emergency Cash. So I guess I'll take a resource, but I'm still going to end up being 1 resource short. So unfortunately, I will need to I'll use Twila to burn a charge of Shriveling on the Writhing Appendage. That was unfortunate. So I just lose the action. I'll get an official ruling on that, but for now I'm going to Grim Rule it that I just lose the action because I can't do what I wanted to do with it. But anyway, so I'm going to... Why did I pull that off? I'm using Twila. Anyway, so I'm going to Shriveling the Writhing Appendage. And we are going to advance because of that. That is very unfortunate. But anyway, if we're going to advance, I wonder if I just get Jacqueline moving after that. That might actually not be a terrible idea. But first I got to see if this attack hits. So 5, 6, 7, 8 to 2. I'm up 6, and I'm going to throw Jacqueline's ability into it. So I actually took a resource on the first action because I didn't get to keep the card I wanted not to lose. Okay. First token up. A 0. Then a skull. And another skull. So I'll cancel both skulls. Writhing Appendage will go bye-bye. Let's see, right now I'm at 7, so we are advancing. And I think action 3 will take us over to the map. Unfortunately, I can't get Jacqueline over to help Mandy this turn. Mandy is going to get rocked unless I think she can pass an Evade 3 test against Don Ligorio, which is far from a gimme on that. But I think Jacqueline will move over to the Venetian Garden. That will do it for her turn. Mandy, coming into her turn, is going to use an open player window to Pathfinder down to the Flooded Square. And she's got a test for the Acrid Miasma. She's got a test Will 2. So she is up 1 right now. Must either take a damage into horror or resolve the Hunter keyword, which will probably translate into her taking a damage into horror. Elder Sign. I don't think I've seen Mandy's Elder Sign yet. +0, so she'll still pass. Search the top 3 cards of your deck for a card and either draw it or commit it to this test if able. Shuffle your deck. I'm going to go 6 deep because my next agenda is going to be trying to find something to evade Don Ligorio. So we'll go 6 deep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So first card up we find another Pathfinder, which I'd rather be able to use this on movement, but it is an option to give me some kind of leeway on this test. Card 2, Tooth of Esley, +1 agility and +1 will while resolving an ability on a treachery card. After you succeed at a skill test while resolving an ability on a treachery card, exhaust Tooth of Esley to draw 1 card. Card 3, Mob Enforcer, which I do not want, so I'm not going to look at it right now. Card 4, another copy of Bloodright, which won't help my evasion problem right now. Card 5, you handle this one, which could help my evasion problem right now. And Amnesia, which I don't want. So I need something that could potentially help me either kill Don Ligorio or evade him. I think my better option right now is to try to evade him. So to that end, I'm going to take you handle this one for a skill commit. Unfortunately, it only gets me up 1, but I'm also at even. I'm also base even, so we might have a decent shot at giving Don Ligorio the slip. But anyway, getting ahead of myself there. So action. Oh, I should have shuffled those 2 weaknesses back into the deck as well, much as I would have loved to have kept them out. But anyway, I'd rather have like I said, I'd rather have Pathfinder later for movement. So at least we don't have to resolve the Hunter keyword, which would leave Mandy in much the same bind she was in like 2 minutes ago. But anyway, action 1, she will try to evade, committing you handle this one to go up 1. Not a great place to be testing, but all I can do. So we're up 1 trying to evade. Elder Thing is not good. -4, if you fail and Nadafka is in play, it attacks you. Thankfully it's not in play, but Mandy does very much fail. Action 2, she's still evading, this time at even. Elder Thing again, which basically says no. Action 3 will try to evade once more at even. -1 also says no. So that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, your worst nightmare moves, and Mandy is still very much in her same pickle, so she also takes 2 damage. Mandy really needs to get away from Don Ligorio, or she's going to take her first trauma of the campaign. But anyway, we'll go ahead and give all that we'll go ahead and ready all that. And we'll ready Jacqueline's stuff as well. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline will gain 1 resource and go to 3. Mandy will gain 1 resource and go to 7. Jacqueline draws. Word of Command, so for 2 resources I can name a spell card search my deck for a copy of this named card and draw it, then shuffle my deck. Mandy draws. The other Pathfinder that I can't really play right now. Mythos phase, we do advance because we are at 8 Doom, or we're going up to 8. And we have the Baleful Reveler. 4, 5 per investigator, 3. Spawn the nearest location with no investigators counterclockwise from the lead investigator. Hunter, retaliate. Forced. After Baleful Reveler moves from the Hunter keyword, reveal a random token from the Chaos bag. If you reveal a bad symbol, resolve its Hunter keyword again. Limit once per round. Victory 2 does 2 and 2. Yikes. Alright, counterclockwise would be the Guardian. Counterclockwise from Jacqueline. Anyway, let's take a look at our new agenda. The Shadow of the Eclipse. The clamor and celebration of the carnival has for the most part drowned out the terrors you've seen in the city. Until now. The sun vanishes behind the moon, and darkness overtakes the sky. There's a solitary cry and the sound of crashing water. Within moments, screams erupt throughout the city, and yet somehow you see revelers still celebrating with wide, crazed smiles. 3 Doom to advance. Jacqueline draws. Watcher's Gaze. Revelation test Will 4. Each investigator who controls an innocent reveler must also perform this skill test. Each investigator who fails take 1 horror, which must be assigned to an innocent reveler first if able. Jacqueline is up 1, and I will commit... She's up 1, I'll commit Occult Theory. Actually, 1 horror on an innocent reveler is probably fine, because I'll be moving over to San Marco Basilica, and over the next turn or two, I'll probably be putting both of them under the under the act deck. So Jacqueline will test up 1. I'd rather use her skill test on that writing appendage when I try to take that out with the scribbling. A +1 keeps her clear of that, though, so that's fortunate. And then Mandy draws. Mesmerize. If there are no masked carnival goers at your location, Mesmerize gains Surge, and there is not. So Mandy will surge into a Carnival Sentinel, which spawns at the location across from you. Retaliate. You can't look at the other side of masked carnival goers at Carnival Sentinel's location using the ability on Act 1A. Unvisited guests are not welcome. 2 damage on attack, and the location across from Mandy right now is the Guardian. So that's a jump in location. And then Elizabeth Magro gets a Doom on her. So, back into the investigation phase now. Mandy really needs to give Don Ligorio the slip, so let's start in her play area. I wanted to be able to play this, but I have to commit Pathfinder to go up 1, trying to evade. This is Mandy's action 1. Unfortunately, well, I do have another option, but knowing what's going to be coming in a couple turns, I'd rather keep that option open. So yes, I'm kind of metagaming a little bit, but I've got somewhat of a plan in mind. A 0 gets her away from Don Ligorio, thankfully. And then we'll Pathfinder her way over to the map. Mandy will Pathfinder down to Canal Side, which we got another clue on it. I mostly need to keep Mandy ahead of Don Ligorio and Your Worst Nightmare. Action 2, we'll go ahead and try to get a clue off the location. So she's up 5, 6, 7, she's up 5. Tentacle touched. Fantastic. And action 3, we'll try to get the clue back. Try to get another clue. Skull is -2 plus -1 for each innocent reveler under the agenda deck, which there are none, so Mandy does get a clue. That will do it for Mandy. Jacqueline will stay right here at the map. Action 1, she'll move over to San Marco Basilica, make friends with the writhing appendage. Action 2 will exhaust Twila using a charge of shriveling and her special ability so I don't take unnecessary damage or so I don't take unnecessary horror. First token up. Skull, which I should be able to afford to cancel. A 0, which might be keepable, and the tentacle. So I have to cancel the tentacle, otherwise I just fail. I do still take 2 horror, which I'm not too busted up about. But I do take out the writhing appendage. And then action 3, we'll use the action on the Basilica to put one of the innocent revelers under the act deck. So that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, this is where we're busy. So Your Worst Nightmare moves down to Flooded Square. Baleful Reveler moves over to Venetian Garden. And then I have to reveal a token from the bag. If I reveal a bad symbol, he moves again and attacks? Yikes! That thing is nasty. I might just need to take him out next turn with Jack, or try to take him out next turn. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to. So we reveal a symbol that moves him, of course. So that moves him and makes friends with Jacqueline. And she takes 2 and 2. Oh boy. So she's got to eat that herself. Yeah. Joy, joy. That's a big problem, but anyway. So everything wakes up. We'll reset everything here. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes up to 4. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes up to 8. Jacqueline draws. Occult Theory, so that gives me will icons equal to my lore and lore equal to my will. And let me check her hand size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I will discard I'll discard her other copy of Clairvoyance. And then Mandy draws. Burning the Midnight Oil. To investigate, when this action begins, gain 2 resources. Mythos phase, we go up to 1 doom on the agenda. Jacqueline draws. Abduction. Test Will 3. If you fail, you must either lose all of your resources or choose and discard an ally asset you control. When the revelers come out to celebrate, they come out to feed. So we're base up 2. And I'm going to use one of her occult theories because I really want to make sure I pass this, and I would rather save her ability for when I need to try to attack that Baleful Reveler. So lore equal to my will. So actually the relevant part is, yeah, will equal to my lore. So I get 3 lore on that, which puts me up 5. Looking at my face funnily enough. +1 keeps me clear of that. So that's fortunate. And then Mandy draws. Another Carnival Sentinel. spawns at the location across from her, which is the Venetian Garden. So Mandy isn't going to be able to get to Jacqueline. So there's a wall of sentinels between Mandy and Jacqueline right now. That's a problem. So what to do? I think we can eat eating an attack of opportunity from that Baleful Reveler is probably a very bad idea. Because we're already taking one attack as it is. Do I just try to blast him into next week? That might have to be the play here, in all honesty. But Jacqueline can't take him out this round, which is very unfortunate. But I think we just... And one miss means Jacqueline's defeated as well, unless I have Twilla eat it, which is possible. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself there. Yeah, I think we got to start down in Jacqueline's play area and work on this Reveler to try to hopefully take him out next turn. I almost forgot about the Doom on Elizabetta, so we are advancing at the end of this round at the next Mythos phase as well. Anyway, action 1, Charge of Shriveling, and Jacqueline's ability. So she's at 8 to 4, and I'm pulling 3 tokens. And there are my 3. Token 1 is an Elder Thing, which I will probably need to cancel if I can. Then a 0, which I can afford to keep, and a -3. So I'll cancel the Elder Thing and the -3, which means the Baleful Reveler will take 3 damage. Action 2 will run that back, this time taking a charge off Shriveling to put me up 4 Arcane Studies to go up 5. Let me try this. Skull, which does deal her 2 horror. Oh boy, this is going to be a big-time problem. Because this extra 2 horror means Jacqueline is going to be defeated unless I have Twilla eat it, which is very possible. And that was another... Okay, that was another 3 damage, yep. So I do need another 6. Or I do need another 3. And then action 3, we have to run it back again. And I have to remember Retaliate is a thing, so... -3 does still hit him for another 3 damage. So let me get another 3 out, which means he has 1 health left on him. So Jacqueline is going to need to be able to take him out next turn. I may have to sacrifice Twilla to get rid of him, but anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline. Mandy's turn is going to take us over to the map. Mandy's turn will start with a Pathfinder over to Academia Bridge, where action 1 she'll immediately leave and lose 2 resources. Then she'll use the fast action there out, make friends with the Sentinel, unfortunately. And then we're going to play one of her copies of Bloodright, and I'm going to change this one to a 3. So we'll draw 3 cards, then discard up to 3. And for each card I discard this way, I can either gain a resource or spend a resource to deal 1 damage to an enemy at my location. So card 1, I've got a Plan, which lets me fight using Lore, doing +1 damage with this attack for each clue I have to a max of 3, which would be 4 damage. Card 2, another Burning the Midnight Oil, and Jenny Beauregard. 5 cost to play, Lore and Agility on commit, get +1 of each. During your turn, after you move to a location, exhaust him. Move a clue or a non-elite enemy from a connecting location to your location, or vice versa. So I will discard both my copies of Burning the Midnight Oil and a magnifying glass, and spend 3 resources to take out this Carnival Sentinel, so we can work on getting through this wall. That was action 1. Action 2 will be to... What is action 2 going to be? Oh, we get to draw a card from entering the location. So Mandy draws an Eon chart. 2 cost to play. Lorne Agilion commit. Uses 3 secrets. As a fast action, during your turn, exhaust Eon chart and spend 1 secret. Choose and take one of the following actions. Move, evade, or investigate. So action 1 was an actual move. Pathfinder. Action 1, fast action. Action 2, take out the Carnival Sentinel. Then action 3, I don't want Mandy to be around that Carnival Sentinel right now, so I think for action 3, she will just take a resource. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Don Ligorio actually moves toward Jacqueline. Your Worst Nightmare moves on Canal Side. And the Baleful Reveler deals 2 and 2, which I will use... I'll actually use that... No, I can't do that. Actually, yes, I can. I can deal it to the Innocent Reveler, which will put it under the agenda deck. Each investigator takes a horror. Mandy will take it herself. Jacqueline will assign hers to Twilla, because Twilla's got 2 health, she's got 2 sanity. And then when there are a total of 3 act and or agenda decks, and then when there are a total of 3 revelers under both decks, advance. The beast emerges. Many of the revelers are under the sway of a foul spell, and they cannot see the danger emerging around them. You push your way through the crowded streets, gathering what few sane revelers you can find and guiding them toward the relative safety of the Basilica. As the last of them is escorted inside, the ground shakes violently, and a deep watery shape looms above the island to the south from deep within the lagoon. Their ritual nearly finished, the revelers in the streets begin to unmask. Put aside the set-aside Nidathqua enemy into play in the center of all locations. For the remainder of the scenario, Nidathqua is considered to be in play, but is not at any location. The investigator chooses a masked carnival goer and flips it to its other side. So we have to flip one of these. Right, so we'll flip this one. I don't remember what this was earlier, but I know it was an enemy. That was all I cared about at that point. Savio Corvi is a hunter, 3/5/3. When resolving the hunter keyword on Savio Corvi, his location is connected to the location across from him, as well as in the clockwise direction. Victory 1, 1 and 1. Okay. So that was our last... Okay, let's grab Nidathqua first. Oh, I had something I was going to add. I'll add it on this encounter. But anyway. Alright, Nidathqua, the many-armed beast. 4, 8 per investigator, no evade value. You may fight Nidathqua as if it were at your location. It's not engaged with you. Nidathqua cannot be evaded. Forced. After you fail a skill test while attacking Nidathqua, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a writhing appendage and spawn it engaged with you. If Nidathqua is defeated, R2. 2 and 2 on attack. Alright, so that's at the center of the board. And then we have a new act to go through. Get to the boats. The civilians in the Basilica are safe for now, but Venice is doomed if you don't act quickly. The only way to ensure the safety of the sacrifices is to draw the creature in the lagoon away from the city. Sweat beads down your forehead as you realize that this decision may be your last. Legs trembling, you head toward the moored boats docked by the canals. Forced. After the Mythos phase begins, choose a masked carnival goer in play and then flip it to its other side. Objective. If each undefeated investigator is at canal side, advance. Okay, so we actually have two options. We try to get to canal side, which we're probably not doing, or we destroy Nadafqua. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself on that. So we just did the enemy phase. He flipped after all the attacks were resolved, so he doesn't do anything right now, which means we get to ready everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline will gain a resource and go to 5. Mandy will gain a resource and go to 5 as well. Jacqueline draws. Drawn to the flame, which we probably don't need right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we're good there. Mandy draws. Tooth of Esley, which we probably don't need right now. But anyway, Mythos phase, we do advance. So, we do advance the agenda. Okay. A sacrifice to be made. The shadow of the eclipse is unrelenting. Throughout the city, a dull chant overtakes the screaming and the chaos. Its language ancient and marked and morbid. Tentacles course through the canals from the south, weaving beneath bridges and trapping entire islands within their grasp. If there are one or more masked carnival goers in play, the lead investigator chooses one and flips it to its other side. If its other side is an innocent reveler, which it won't be, place it underneath the agenda deck. If there's still a masked carnival goer in play, flip this agenda back to 2A. Otherwise, advance to Act 3A. So we are going to be fresh out of masked carnival goers at this point, which means we find Salvatore Neri at this point, question mark 3 question mark. Retaliate. Fight value is equal to the attacking investigator's base combat. Evade value is equal to base agility. 2 horror on attack, but victory 1. Anyway, so now we go into encounter cards. Excuse me. Actually, let's look through Agenda 3A. Chaos in the Carnival. In the lagoon, an ancient terror stirs. The creature's tentacles coil around the city, and the water level begins to rise. As if in response, the chanting you hear throughout the city grows louder. Forced. After a writhing appendage enters play, place 2 doom on it. And then for encounter cards, Jacqueline draws. Acrid Miasma. Attached to the nearest location in the clockwise direction with no acrid miasma. After an investigator enters attached location, test Will 2. If you fail, that investigator must either take 1 damage and 1 horror, or resolve the Hunter keyword on each Hunter enemy in play. Nearest location for Jacqueline is the Bridge of Sighs. And then Mandy draws. Unhallowed Land. Revelation, test Agility 5. For each point you fail by, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If a Cursed Treachery is discarded by this effect, deal 1 direct horror to each investigator and to each of your ally assets. Fortunately, Mandy doesn't have an ally asset. And she doesn't have any agility that I want to commit either, so we're just going to test this down 2. Because I think I'm going to need all of my cards to be able to take out Nadafqua. Skull is -2 plus -1 for each innocent reveler in the act, or under the act deck. So we do have a -3, which means Mandy fails by 5. So if we nail a curse, she takes a horror, which I'm not too busted up about, which we do. So Mandy will take a horror. Actually, that will flip over to its 2 side. Alright, so that's discarded. Now, this is probably going to end up being the last turn of the scenario. Well, Jacqueline's going to bite at this turn, unless we can take out Nadathqua. And or the Baleful Reveler, which... Okay, so here's the next question. Can we do 16 damage to Nadathqua this turn? We fight him as if we are at his location. As if we were at your location. So it probably just attacks everybody? Seems like it. Let's see. Okay, so let me mull through this. So I'm probably gonna use Storm of Spirits first to try to take out the Baleful Reveler so Jacqueline can potentially survive another turn. Arcane Studies. Let's see. Storm of Spirits to do that. 2 charges of Shriveling into it, which brings me to 9. And then Mandy. I think I think we can make this work, but only just. So I think Jacqueline will go first, and we'll start at the map. The challenge in this situation right now is I can't afford for any of these tests to miss. The question is, what do I commit when? And when do I use Jacqueline's ability? Which test do I think is the most critical? Let's see. Looking at this, Jacqueline can take the 2 damage from Storm of Spirits, and she'll be up 5. She gets +2 will. If I spend a charge from Arcane Studies, I'm up a resource, I'm up 4. I think that's where we start then. So for 3 resources, I will start off with Storm of Spirits. So I use will instead of lore of combat. I get +2 will, and instead of dealing standard damage, I deal 3 damage to everything at my location, which Nadathqua, for purposes of attack, is at my location. But if I pull a bad symbol, I deal 2 damage to each investigator at my location. So I'll spend 1 resource from Arcane Studies to go up. So 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm targeting the Baleful Reveler. I'm up 4. I'm not going to use Jacqueline's ability yet. Even though, like I said, I need all of these attacks to hit. But a 0 takes out the Baleful Reveler and puts our first 3 damage on Nadathqua with no peril on it. So that was perfect. So that goes in the victory display because it's victory points. And now action 2, it's time for Jacqueline to start working on working on her heroine talents. So charge a Shriveling into Nadathqua, but I'm going to use Twila to keep the charge on there, and I'm going to reveal 3 tokens. So I'm still up 4, but this time pulling 3 tokens. Okay, there are my 3. First up we find an Elder Sign, which I will probably snap cancel if I can. Next up, a -3, which won't fail me, and a -1. So I will cancel the -3 and the Elder Sign to do another 3 damage to Nadathqua. And we'll draw a card. So Jacqueline will draw Word of Command, which is just our search card, which I can't afford to play right now. But I will spend another charge of Shriveling. So I'm up 4. I'll use my last resource from Arcane Studies to go up 5. And just so I make sure I don't have to discard the hand size, I'll commit Drawn to the Flame to go up. I'll commit Drawn to the Flame to go up 6. +1 puts another 3 damage on Nadakwa, so that worked very nicely. Alright, so that will do it for Jacqueline's turn. Now let's see if Mandy can get us the rest of the way. So, I will start off for action 1 with the copy of Bloodright. So I get to draw. I'll change this to a 3 as well. So I'll draw 3 and discard up to 3. Actually, this might not work. I might be 1. So I just remembered I might be 1 resource. I might be 1 short to do this. But anyway, first card up, Eureka. Then a surprising find, and Dr. Milan Christopher. Well, I don't need him right now. I'll discard Janae Beauregard and Eon Chart and spend 3 resources to do 3 damage. Which I think I'm going to be 1 resource short, which is unfortunate, but actually, no, I think I can still do this. So action 2 is going to be another copy of Bloodright. So I draw another 3 and discard. Okay, I've got a plan here. I think I can still make this work. So card 1, Quick Thinking. Card 2, another I've got a plan, and Dream Diary. So I think the plan here is I'm going to toss Tooth of Esli, Dream Diary, and yeah, I think I can still make this work. It's gonna be close, but and I'll toss. Yeah, I think this works, and I'll toss. I've got a plan. So for 2 of those cards, I'll gain 2 resources, and then I'll spend 1 resource to deal 1 damage to Nadakwa. Alright, so those go away. I've got 1 damage on. I put 1 damage on Nadakwa. Which is why this is going to be This is probably going to be hopefully the last test of the round. So I'm going to use. I've got a plan. So I'm using lore instead of combat, and I'm dealing +1 damage for this attack for each clue I have to a max of 3. I have 2 clues, so I'm actually doing 3 damage. I'm base up to going into the attack 3, 4, 5. So I'm up 5, trying to finish the scenario right here. Elder Sign is probably not going to stop the end of the scenario here, but we will go ahead and do this by the book. +0, search the top 3 cards of your deck for a card and either draw it or commit it to this test if able, then shuffle your deck. So I will go ahead and search the 3 anyway. Card 1 is Encyclopedia. I'm probably not bothered with any of these because the scenario is just over here. Card 2, Shocking Discovery, which actually would stop the search and then draw the top card of the encounter deck. Actually, Shocking Discovery, where did that end up? Ah, there you are. So that gets discarded. I cancel the search, and then I draw the top card of the encounter deck. As long as this doesn't just kill Mandy, I think we're fine. She's still got 2 sanity, she's got 2 damage left on her and a lot of sanity soak. And Elizabeth should have a doom on her from the Mythos phase. So we draw the top card of the encounter deck. We draw Mysteries of the Lodge. Place 1 doom on the nearest cultist enemy, which Savio actually is a cultist. Then until the end of the round, increase the difficulty to fight, evade, or parley with that enemy by 2. If no doom is placed by this effect, Mysteries of the Lodge gains Surge. We placed a doom, but we also did 3 damage to Nidathqua, which translates to 16 damage, so the scenario is over, which means we go into Resolution 2. So let's move back up top into R2. Once again, any background noise you hear, per usual, is just me cleaning up. So let's go ahead into... Actually, this is a pretty short resolution, so let me follow along with this.
Resolution 2. The creature recoils as globules of its jelly-like flesh rip and tear from its body, splashing into the lagoon. It makes no sound as its torn body sinks into the depths. The chanting in the city plunges into mournful silence. As you return to the canal-side streets, black feathers fall from the sky where bright confetti once fluttered. You can only wonder how long it will take for the creature to recover. In your campaign log, record, Nidathqua retreated to nurse its wounds. Each investigator earns experience equal to the victory X value of each card in the victory display. Proceed to additional rewards, page 11.
Alright, so I'm actually doing everything through the audio recordings here, but... So before we jump into that, the other set I was planning to add to the encounter deck was the Agents of Azathoth encounter set, but I spaced when I wanted to add that in, and I completely forgot to add it. But anyway, so we get 2 experience for the Baleful Reveler in the victory display because Jacqueline decided to be our heroine today, thankfully, before things went really sideways on us. So we get 2 experience for that, and we will proceed to additional rewards. Should be...
Additional rewards. In player order, each investigator may choose one of the following mask cards to add to his or her deck. Pantalone, Medicio della Peste, Bauta, or Gilded Volto. The chosen card does not count toward that investigator's deck size. If there are no innocent revelers underneath the act deck and at least 1 underneath the agenda deck, proceed to Sacrifice Made, page 12. If there are no innocent revelers underneath the agenda deck and 3 underneath the act deck, proceed to Abyss Satisfied, page 12.
Unfortunately, we did have to sacrifice 1 innocent reveler to get the... to get out of this scenario. I'm kind of surprised, actually, that defeating Nidathqua didn't let us put... I'm going to just do a little bit of research here. I'm very surprised that that defeating Nidathqua didn't let us put the last innocent reveler under the act deck, but I guess I really shouldn't be. But anyway, let's take a look at the masks that we have. You'll use these to figure out what masks I'm taking for each of my investigators. So first up, we'll take a look at Bauta. 1 cost to play, combat, and wildcard on commit. Limit 1 mask in play. After it enters play, gain 2 resources. As a reaction, when you initiate a non-combat test, discard Bauta. To use combat for this test instead of the skill indicated. Yeah, right. Not with a base of 2 on Jacqueline and 1 on Mandy for combat. Next up, we'll take a look at Medicio della Peste. Another 1 cost to play. Will and question mark on commit. Limit 1 mask in play. After Medicio della Peste enters play, you heal 1 or 1. When you initiate a non-will test, discard it to use will for this test instead of the skill indicated. That actually could be good for Jacqueline, mainly because she uses her will for almost everything. Then Pantalone, 1 cost to play, Lorne question mark on commit. After it enters play, draw 2 cards. When you initiate a non-lore test, discard Pantalone to use lore for this test instead of the skill indicated. I would be tempted to give that to Mandy. And Gilded Volto, agility and question mark on commit. After it enters play, treat the next asset you play this turn as if it has fast. When you initiate a non-agility test, discard Gilded Volto. Use agility for this test instead of the skill indicated. if I go based on the skills indicated, I want to give Medicio Bella Peste, or Medicio, is that Bella or Della? That's Della Peste to Jacqueline, and Pantalone to Mandy. And I think that's how we're going to do that. So, Jacqueline will take Medicio, Della Peste, and Mandy will take Pantalone. Now, similar to other decisions I've made about story assets to add in the past, I am open to being wrong, and I am open to being convinced to give either one of my investigators a different mask or potentially swap the masks. Just be respectful about it in the comments section down below. But like I said, I am open to convincing to send a different mask in a different direction. But anyway. Just double checking resolutions here, and it does not look like there's anything that defeating the Dothwa lets me move either it into the victory display or the last innocent reveler to underneath the agenda deck. But anyway, we do manage to get out of this scenario with no trauma, and somehow the Silver Twilight Lodge not giving us too many problems. But anyway, that will do it for this visit to a Circle Undone themed Carnival of Horrors. Another full slate of videos lined up for this week. Tonight I'm running another test stream on Twitch, and I'll provide the channel link in the description down below. We'll be starting a fresh game of Front Mission 3 using the other story. I've been using my existing game to test it out, and I have some minor tests I'm planning to run, but by and large I think my system can handle the burden of streaming. It was looking bleak on Thursday, but I changed some settings in OBS, and I think it helped everything. Later this week, we'll upgrade the decks. I'll likely have another stream on Thursday, but I'll talk more about that on Wednesday when we upgrade the decks. And Sunday, the fall campaign will continue as we move back to the main campaign for Return to the Secret Name. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.